This may be one of the most controversial conversations we have, and I'm going to lose followers over this. But there is an increasing authoritarian streak in the United States that I can't stay silent about anymore. Even if this causes some people to say, I don't want to follow that Nomad Capitalist guy anymore. I don't want to hire Nomad Capitalist because of what I'm saying. I believe that what is happening right now in the alleged bastion of freedom in the United States is all the more proof that you need that go where you're treated best. What we tell you here is not go where you're treated better because it's kind of convenient. It needs to be go where you're treated best. And I thought I was the only one who thought what I'm going to tell you today. But now I'm starting to hear some people in the United States, Republicans, saying exactly what I've been thinking for a number of months. Now, let me set the stage. I say if you're going to move, you might as well move. And so if you're in California, Washington State, New York, Massachusetts, whatever, Illinois, and you're tired of the restrictions, you're tired of the regulations, you're tired of the high taxes, you're tired of the nasty politicians threatening you, you may think, let me move to, you would have said Arizona before, but now they are basically a blue state, and they just raised your taxes in a big way. You might still be talking about Texas, and you might be talking about Florida. Now, what I've said is, today's red states can easily become tomorrow's purple or even blue states. I lived in Arizona, and I worked alongside some of the people in the political community in Arizona for many years in the broadcasting industry. It was pretty red in many cases. But now people move there from California and other places, and it is pretty solid blue. And they really voted to raise your taxes. That could happen in any of these places. The demographics of who's coming in are changing. Texas, you've got high property taxes. May not matter if you make a bunch of money. For some people, very different culture in Texas than where you may be from in the Northeast or something. The power grid obviously has been an ongoing issue. You didn't think something like that would happen in the United States. Florida, prices are going through the roof. And now I'm seeing something that very seriously troubles me in Florida, a place that a lot of people have said, hey, this is the place to move. We're going to go here. I mean, Miami is on fire. West Palm Beach is on fire. And it's time that I think I open up with you. I am the Nomad Capitalist. I believe in free markets. I believe in getting the government out of your life. It's why I left the United States alongside many personal reasons. I felt that the United States was moving in the wrong direction with how it treats businesses. Part of that's taxes, part of that's regulations, part of that's compliance and paperwork and just kind of the whole nanny state, perhaps you could call it. And by the way, I have gone to live in places that perhaps sometimes are more culturally conservative. And I am not the most politically correct person, and so I have been able to thrive in those environments and at least feel comfortable. But I am not on the extreme side of we have to be offended by everything happening in the United States. Certainly not on the left with the wokeism, and also not on the right. And so what I'm going to tell you is I believe that what's happening in Florida should shake you if you are a business person. And that is that Ron DeSantis, for months, has had this childlike high school bully fascination with going after the Walt Disney Company because he disagrees with them on the politics of the former CEO that was led by some of Disney's employees. So, I've been a business owner my entire life. I do not want the government anywhere that I live to be able to take away my rights to operate my business how I want. And that is exactly what is basically happening. So, let me set the stage if you haven't heard about this. Basically, Disney came out last year and said, hey, we're against a law that's being put in Florida that impacts how children are educated in Florida schools. I'm not going to comment on the law one way or the other, because certainly, yes, the U.S. is taking a very left-leaning turn. I am not Make America Great Again, by the way. I certainly agree with some of the things in there, but I also left I left for good over Make America Great Again because I realized how it was materially impacting me as an American who did not want to live in the United States. It had negative implications for me, and I thought that they would get worse. And here's one of them. So I understand people on the side of the issue that the people on the right have. So basically, Disney said, hey, we are against this bill. And you can be for it, you can be against it. I don't blame you either way. But what the governor of Florida then did was say, to punish you, we're going to go through and say, oh, you have this special district that Disney had. And I went kind of deep on Disney in 2020. A lot of good business stuff from Michael Eisner back in the 90s and Bob Iger, good book that he wrote, whether you agree with him on everything or not. Disney has been an incredible success story in the last 20 years. It's really, really come back. They create so many jobs in Florida. And they had a deal with Florida that, hey, we have this own special district, the Reedy Creek Improvement District, and we're going to run our affairs how we want. And you would say they've been a pretty good citizen. They manage everything. They do their own power. They leave everybody alone. So Ron DeSantis comes in and says, oh, well, you've got your own special deal, so we're going to cancel it because I don't agree with you. Didn't come in on day one. Number one employer in the state, by the way, as I understand. You think if it was a big issue, would come in on day one and say, hey, listen, I'm against this corporate, funny business. We got to go after Disney. Make it a campaign issue. But no, waited until Disney, whose weak CEO, Bob Chapek, kind of crumbled under the pressure from some of the advocates in his company to speak out against this bill. Waited until it happened to pounce and say, oh, well, you don't agree with me, so I'm going to take away your deal. Now, the Disney company had a deal with the state of Florida because when they came, the place was a swamp. There was nothing. Florida begged and groveled for them to bring their business there. It was the best thing that ever happened to Florida. But now what happens? And we tell you this all the time. People get a little bit of money in the door and they start to be like, we have it so good. Forget how we got there. That's why your tax rates are so high in the United States, because politicians forgot that all the things that made the United States grow so quickly, one of them was there was no income tax for a long time, and then it was 3%. What they are doing right now is nothing about what got them to be in the position that they are. And so Florida forgot what made Florida, Florida. Ron DeSantis forgot what made Florida, Florida. So now he's antagonizing Disney, and he's literally going out and saying, hey, we're taking over your land. Maybe we'll build a state prison. Maybe we'll build some parks. Maybe we'll build a competing amusement park. No one wants to go to Ron DeSantis' amusement park, okay? No one wants to go to his park. So he's going around and antagonizing Disney. And now I see even Chris Christie and other Republicans are saying this is not what we should be doing to business. And they're saying that because a company had a deal with the government. Companies like my company, like your company, like Disney, do not make the rules. Now you could say Disney has more lobbying sway perhaps than your company or mine. But we do not make the rules. The politicians make the rules, unfortunately, and we have to follow them and we have to adapt. Okay? And so Ron DeSantis, when Disney started to do some maneuvers at the last minute before his law came into effect, now he's complaining that they did that. We just follow the rules. Right? And it's our obligation as businesses to do the best we can for our shareholders, in many cases ourselves, to work legally within the system, but to work within the system and to take advantage of opportunities. We talk about moving your business to other countries because there are other countries that want your business. You can legally move your business overseas. You can move with it. You can reduce your tax rate to as low as 0. And if you are willing to move overseas, why would you not take advantage of that to put more money in your pocket and do the right thing for growing your business long term? Disney cannot move Disney World out of Florida, so they can't do that. But they said, we're going to take advantage of the system. And now Ron DeSantis pounces on them again. But the bottom line is, the state of Florida and Disney had a deal, and the politicians are the ones who have to enforce the deal. The companies have to rely on the politicians. Now, you go to other countries, people say, oh, that's a banana republic. That's a tin pot dictatorship. They don't have rule of law in that country. And that's reasons that Americans say, oh, our country is the best. You can trust when you have a deal with the government, they honor it. Unless, of course, you speak out against Ron DeSantis in a bill that he's pushing. It does not matter, by the way, if you agree with the bill. There will be some people who are watching this who they think that I am more of a culture warrior than I am a free marketeer. I understand that culture matters. I understand values matter. I also understand that ethics matter. When you have a deal, you honor it, even if you don't agree with what the other person is doing. There's nothing unethical here. You can disagree with Disney. You don't have to patronize them. And many people haven't. And that's totally cool. Don't go to see their movies. Don't go to their theme park. Stop going to Disney. I have friends in the U.S. who are totally against what they call the woke politics. They're not going to Disney World anymore. Fantastic, right? I am not a liberal apologist by any means whatsoever, but I'm saying we need to know as businesses that when we do a deal, that's the deal. And so if you're going to move to another state, why not consider moving to another country? I bet there's people, let's say from the Northeast, that would be more comfortable living in Ireland and getting a tax deal with Ireland than they would be comfortable moving in Texas. It's probably just as close to home, maybe culturally more similar. You get some other perks. You get to work towards your second passport. Your kids can be able to live anywhere they want in the European Union by you doing that. You don't get that living in Texas, right? If you're going to move, you might as well move. You're probably not Disney where you have a fixed asset that just can't be moved. Disney's kind of a sitting duck. But the point is, the veneer has been stripped here, where the U.S. and Florida is the epitome of the rule of law. What you now know is that just like crossing a dictator in a so-called banana republic, if you cross the governor of Florida, you will have a deal that you agreed to, your company agreed to, with politicians past, just taken away, and you can't fight back. So what will they do next?